Should be live now. What's up, Tailosive Tech and Apple Sheep everywhere? It's a very interesting day today. Got a lot going on. Let me make sure my audio is working here. Just so I catch it, hopefully, before you do. Hi. Okay, I can hear myself. Even audio is out of sync for me, but I can't do much about that. Let's see if I can refresh it and fix that. Just a little bit. I wish I could fix that. But there's not a way to. Come on, YouTube. Yes, I've seen iJustine's HomePod review. Yes, a lot of people got the HomePod early. Apparently today's the day all the reviews drop or whatever. Hello from Miami. Miami's a lot closer to the SpaceX launch today, if you saw that thumbnail, because I saw a lot of questions on that on Twitter already. HomePod review units are out, and it looks and sounds awesome. That's what it looks like. I mean, all of the limitations people already had with it before it came out are still there. People who are upset that it doesn't do Spotify, I think that's the most common one I've heard. There was a bunch of reviews, not just iJustine. There was The Verge and CNET, and of course iJustine, but iJustine's just felt like one big Apple commercial, but I guess that's my life too. The difference is Apple doesn't send me things. I'm supporting all of I'm wearing all my Tesla gear today because we're sending, hopefully today, a Tesla to Mars with the Falcon Heavy launch. I thought, here's the situation for people just joining in. I'm probably going to have to repeat this, but I thought we were going to be able to do this live stream during the Falcon Heavy launch sequence, which supposedly was going to be around 1:30 in Miami, which would have been 10:30 here, so 20 minutes from now. But there was a tweet by Elon Musk about an hour ago. I have Twitter open right here. And he said about an hour ago, upper atmosphere winds, currently 20% above max allowable load. So they're holding for an hour to allow winds to diminish. So for those curious on the Falcon Heavy launch, probably won't be able to watch it during this live stream. I don't think it's been canceled today. I'll keep refreshing Elon's feed here, but so far he hasn't posted anything other than what I just said to you. So I don't think the Falcon launch will be during this live stream, which means you can still watch this and not have to worry about missing the Heavy launch. Originally, I was going to try to I was going to try to show the Falcon Heavy launch in the bottom quarter of the screen so we could watch it together in the middle of the live stream and just take a little break. But now I think that'll just be at a different time. It'll be in about an hour and 20 minutes if the winds slow down. If they don't, sadly, the Falcon Heavy launch might not be today. I hope they don't have to push it back. Yes, people. I know. It was pushed to 3:05, so that would be, or is that the live stream schedule? That's different. 3:05 there would be 10 or 12:05 here, I guess, in Pacific time. What will the next AirPods? Sorry, we can also just have a tech stream too, because that's okay. This is a tech channel. We're not a SpaceX channel. While they're very cool, I just thought I'd address it because I think that's the most interesting thing happening today. Tech reviewers getting the HomePod early is standard and routine at this point. Drew, what do you think of pointless celebrity drama and the channels that feed off of it? They only feed off of it because there's people that eat that. There's people that want to watch a bunch of celebrity drama. I don't get that, but I don't know who to blame. Is it the networks that produce them or the people that watch them? It's kind of both. The launch was pushed to 3:05 because of the wind again. Oh, okay. So it's been pushed 2:30. Some people are saying 2:30 Eastern. I'm just going to say it's later today. It's around noon for me. So it's in a little while. I hope they don't have to delay it indefinitely. That would suck. I have the live stream open on the SpaceX website, and yeah, it says live in 117 minutes. I think they keep pushing it back just because the winds aren't slowing down, which sucks. So, especially if there's people out there who are like, you know, rockets will be the future, and you can send people across the world all the time, and with the BFR, and we'll be used to that. Unless it gets windy, but I guess airplanes have that issue too with weather and stuff. HomePod review is terrible. There's not. It's a very difficult product to review, though. To be fair, I know. I was watching this morning. Also, just kind of listening to them on the way over here because, especially The Verge. I don't know why Apple sends things to The Verge because the guy who reviews them there is always so hard on them and says that they suck. Other than a couple things, but overall, this is terrible. Why do they always send one to that guy? I guess they want honest feedback. They're gonna get it. I was listening to them on the way over, and everyone just kind of shows shots of it. Since it's not really a product that's mobile, or it's a product that has a really rich display, it has a display, but there's not much to show, and there's really not much to hear either because you can't really review a speaker on YouTube because everyone's listening to it on different speakers, so no one's really truly experiencing the HomePod over a review. So it's a fairly difficult product to showcase, especially online, because it's a speaker, so you can't really hear it unless you're actually there. And there's not much to show other than the fact that you can talk to it. Siri sounds a little bit smarter, and it sounds like she can hear you from pretty far away based on the reviews, but I could have guessed that without getting a test one. Either way, I'm excited. What do you say when people say Apple is overpriced and underpowered? The underpowered argument is kind of dated now, given that iPhones have the fastest CPUs of all smartphones, and even check out Linus Tech Tips' review of the iMac Pro, which they found out that if you wanted to make a custom-built PC equivalent to the same specs as an iMac Pro, it would actually cost more money. So if you want all of the specs that an iMac Pro has in a non-Mac in your own custom-built PC, it wouldn't be $5,000. It would be closer to $5,200. And that doesn't come with, the warranty, the all-in-one design, the great speakers, what is the fact that it's so quiet, the fact that the fans on it are so silent and you can never hear them. All of that disregarded, just the specs alone are $200 cheaper on a Mac. So you can't really say underpowered anymore. Overpriced, I get the argument for, but again, that's subjective. Pricing depends on people's financial situations. Oh, Stupid Monkey Super Chat. It says, been a while, so I decided it was time to send another Super Chat. Thank you. For those who don't remember, I believe Stupid Monkey is Durka Durka, if you guys remember back then. Yeah, that was generous of him. Friday is the day they arrive. Yes, I believe. Let me see if there's been any updates on that. They've taken all my money. Okay, so I own 3 HomePods. Now it is just a matter of when they get here. The money has left my account. Let me look in the Apple Store app here, see if there's been any updates. I don't think they've shipped yet, which is interesting considering they have to get here on Friday. 2 of which will be picked up. It doesn't look like, well, no, someone had a space gray one to review, but I'll be picking up 2 space gray ones, and then the white one is getting shipped here, just in case they do that thing where something ships unreasonably, shockingly early, then I'll have that early. They haven't released the HomePod in Canada yet. I know, I'm sorry. It's $350, Jamie. Do you have a Tesla? I have a Tesla Muggin t-shirt, but no, I do not make that kind of money off of YouTube. I can't afford a Tesla. And that's okay. I've been watching a lot of reviews of Teslas and realized that there's a lot of problems they're going through right now. There's a lot of issues and bugs that Tesla owners have to deal with. And by the time I can afford a Tesla, all of these problems are likely going to be resolved. Through trial and error, they're going to have them fixed. There's going to be cheaper models. It'll probably be easier by then, so... Why is your Supreme Apple shirt 40 pounds? I mean, it's Supreme. What? That explains itself. Do you think that the Apple Watch should get a camera built in? Absolutely not. It's ridiculous. The camera that they could fit on a watch is always going to be worse than the one that they could put on your phone. And the angle that an Apple Watch has on your face is horrible. You don't want a camera looking up your face. And you don't want to be taking pictures at this angle because... Not only do you have to hold your arm awkwardly when you take the picture, you have to keep the camera pointed at you, and you have to take the picture with your other arm. So it just makes weird pictures. It's not a good idea. Take your phone, activate the front-facing camera, put it on your wrist, see what kind of angles you get. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's just a terrible idea. Teslas are indeed problematic. My father has one, and we had it being serviced 6 times a year. Ooh! Yeah, see that I don't like. I like the idea of Teslas. I want a Tesla. Obviously, if someone offered me one, I would still take one. But I just mean that I'm okay that I can't afford one yet because they're dealing with a lot of issues, a lot of problems, like you said. So I don't mind waiting until all of those problems are resolved, and then I'll try it out. Okay. Yes, I've basically watched. I've seen three HomePod review, two actually. Never mind. I was about to watch that, but then I decided to get some flowers for my girlfriend. Um, I watched the Verge review of the HomePod and iJustine's unboxing, and then her review of the HomePod. I'm not happy with the boxing. As someone who likes to reviews Apple's packaging and likes the way they look, the HomePod has a very basic box on the front that's very bland gray color. I'm hoping that the space gray box looks a little more colorful, but I'm guessing it's not. I hate packaging that's just like bland and stuff. I know you're probably not going to hear anyone else talking about that, but I collect HomePod boxing is like my next addition to the collection. So I hate boxes that have like barely anything on them. I just wish HomePod boxes had pictures of HomePods on them. Instead, they go with this like black and white imprint. The worst Apple box by far is either the Apple Watch because there's no Apple Watch on it, or the iPhone 6, which is just an imprint. It sucks. The SpaceX mission will be on YouTube if you just subscribe to SpaceX, I believe. It's not available right now. You can't see it yet, but they'll go live long before the actual launch. They're not going to go live right when it's taking off. So you'll get a heads up. Do you think crypto will go back up? I lost so much money. You know, cryptocurrency is a mixed bag. I think it might go up again later on in time, but there's no promises on when that'll be because originally Bitcoin had a big spike back in I can't remember exactly when. It's had a couple big spikes. The most recent one, of course, is what got everyone talking about it. Um, but what was it? A few years ago, 6 years or 7 years ago, there was one where they had such a big spike and then a giant nosedive, and then of course now we've had the more recent one. So it took 6-7 years before it spiked up to its record high. So $19,000 or something big, or it was more than that. I can't remember. But that's the thing. Like you might get your money back with Bitcoin, but you might have to wait another. Who knows? It could be 9-10 years before it spikes up like it did again. Bitcoin cryptocurrency in general has not had consistent success of always going up. It's had occasional spikes that get people really excited for it, and then people realize that it's going down, so they all sell again, and then because everyone's selling, then the value goes down, so everyone keeps selling, and then it tanks again. So that's my issue with cryptocurrency: is every time it spikes, it never stays there. Anytime there's a giant rise in the price of cryptocurrency, it's followed by a giant fall. So I wouldn't put a bunch of money on it. I don't think it's going to replace the U.S. dollar or the currency of whatever country you're in. I don't think it's sustainable enough for everyone to start buying into that. So there may be times when it spikes again, but I don't think it'll stay spiked like that. Let's see. Jet black iMac Pro. God, that would be so glossy. Imagine just the glass on the front all the way around. That'd be weird. Oh boy, we can get rid of that. Should I buy a 2017 iPad or wait for the year's iPad also? This year's iPad, do you think the 2018 iPad 10 will be affordable? No, no, no. The iPad 10, the Face ID one with the same size bezel, that's probably going to be the most expensive starting price iPad because, as of statistically, we've discovered whatever device has the Face ID instantly is more expensive. So I imagine the iPad 10 might start at $700 or something. But I would wait. I would probably wait for at least the March website refresh, which is rumored to happen in a little bit, or WWDC 2018 before you buy an iPad. I wouldn't get a 2017 one right now. I think that's almost a year old, which means you probably shouldn't buy one because it's probably about to be refreshed anyway. So sell two old MacBooks and buy a 13-inch touch bar. If they're both yours, don't sell someone else's. But yeah, sure. That sounds good. Okay. How do you make videos so quick and so well and so awesome? So we talked about that on yesterday's Ask Taylosive, but for the most part, it is lack of sleep, so not sleeping very much, and two, never spending too much time on one project. As long as I've been making YouTube videos, I never really wanted to spend too much time on something. We do it. I do it. I did a whole episode about this on Hello World on Taylosive Talks, where I just talk about the fact that the tech channel is very quantity based. It is not based on quality. Quality is important. That's a second. That's an afterthought. But quantity is the primary focus, meaning that when I film a video, it needs to get up within the next 12 hours, or else it's taking too long. I'm not going to be a successful YouTuber. Other people can make this work. This doesn't apply to everyone, but for me at least, I have to produce content on a daily basis, or else I can't sustain myself. That's just the rhythm I've got myself into. Not to say that my channel would die completely if I didn't do a video a day, but the subscribers of Taylosive Tech have gotten accustomed to daily content that every single day they're going to get either a live stream or a video, and they'll watch that, and it becomes part of their daily routine. And that consistency is what has kept my channel alive, is just people going to expect that from day to day. Which means that the quality, as in if I mis-edit something on accident or I misspeak in a video, that doesn't make everyone unsubscribe. The reason people subscribe to me is not because I get every single fact perfect or they agree with everything I say. I'm not a quality-based channel. I'd say I'm a quantity. But I'll try my best to improve on quality, as I have been with the new office and the new camera. But getting that into a rhythm is definitely tricky. iMac Pro helps with that because it's so fast. But yeah, creating a 1/4 terabyte of data every single day is not easy. But I also have my editor Nathan, because keep in mind, I'm not posting a video a day. I'm posting 2 to 3 videos a day. We have a tech video hopefully every day, other than Tuesday, which is our live stream day. And then we have vlogs coming out on a daily basis on Taylosive Talks. And then, of course, not run by me, but it's still Taylosive. We have Taylosive Music posting a pick of the day every single day. And at the same time, we're trying to work on movie reviews and gaming and hopefully getting back to the main channel. So it's just a lot of dang work. That's all it is. Your day isn't complete without a Taylosive Tech vid. Yeah. Yep, that's what people have gotten used to. That's why I'm here. You make real facts, unlike these tech articles. I wouldn't say I make facts. I just provide points that most people don't bring up. I'm arrogant and smug enough to say that I've noticed how I see things that other people don't, especially when it comes to the headphone jack. Like, that'll never die, no matter how much time goes by. Anytime I talk about the headphone jack, there's just this giant chunk of people that don't get it. And I don't understand how they don't get it. They're like, Drew, how are you not addressing that having a headphone jack is about convenience? It's like, you realize how convenient wireless headphones are, right? Anyway, how many HomePods do you plan to get for your house? I'm going to keep all my HomePods at the office because I just spend all my time here anyway. How are you enjoying the iPhone X with its notch and no fingerprint scanner? These are 2 reasons I'm going with the 8 Plus. First of all, I like the notch because it forces the widgets at the top to be minimal. Second of all, I never use Touch ID because I have psoriasis and it doesn't work. So removing Touch ID did nothing to me. And if they added it back in, I would lose nothing. So the HomePods are $350. Since I got AirPods, I have not just any headphone jack. I have not used any headphone jack. Let it go. Exactly. I don't get people who use the argument that the audio jack is for convenience. It's like, you realize how easy it is to just... And everyone gets mad because it's like, I can't charge my phone and use wired headphones. It's like, okay, use wireless headphones. It's like they're asking you to do something else. Like, then I have to charge my headphones. It's like, well, if you like using headphones and charging your phone so much, why don't you bring charging to the headphones? Enjoy it even more. What do you expect in the launch? Personally, I think the Falcon Heavy launch, when it does go, it might... Now it sounds like it might not go today, but because it's the wind issues. I don't know how further delayed it is. But I think it's going to work. I think that SpaceX has done this enough times. They've practiced it enough times. They got their math down. They've got their logic right. I do think it's going to work. I think they're going to be able to launch that Tesla all the way to Mars, and they're going to land all 3 back on Earth, which is going to be really, really cool. Yes, I saw Justine. get the HomePod. I wish I would have got it myself, but because I didn't, I'm just going to be bitter about it and say that's not fair. That someone like me has to stay up all night until 5:30 to pre-order a HomePod, and then someone else gets it 5 days early anyway. Because, like, they didn't get it today. They got it earlier because they filmed a whole review with it and everything, and those reviews just went live. So they didn't film that all in one morning. They've had it probably for like a week. You have that adapter too if you want it, but I never use it. Okay, what? Many people get mad because, jeez. People don't spam emojis. It's just annoying. You encourage me to block you when you do that. Many people get mad because you're praising Apple for doing so, while you also say they wait for stuff because they perfect it. It's hypocritical. Laura, did you watch yesterday's video? Because I addressed that. Fine, I'll address that now. Removing the headphone jack is not a feature. A lot of people kept acting like, well, Drew, Apple does this with wireless charging and with OLED technology. And it's like, those are new features that, yes, I admit, like, having used wireless charging now, I wish they would have added that earlier. I can't recall calling it a gimmick, but people kept saying I called it a gimmick. So I'll just take your word for it because you guys watch my videos more than I do. I don't think anyone's ever gotten upset because wireless charging was in a phone. That is not ditching something in favor of a future. Switching to wireless charging does not mean removing the charge port. That'd be a different thing. I wouldn't compare removing the headphone jack to adding OLED technology. It's not the same. That's just a different form of tech that I think is beneficial. There's been times when, yes, other phone companies have had that before Apple, but that doesn't mean people get upset over it. Whereas removing the headphone jack is a very tough thing to do. I don't think it's an easy decision because companies, when they do that, people are very, very aware that they're losing something and they're going to be upset about it. So removing the headphone jack is a loss. You take the blame for PR, but the point is, the reason you remove the headphone jack is you're moving forward with something. You're pushing people to switch to wireless. That is a tricky decision, and I wouldn't consider it a feature. And you guys keep comparing Apple for waiting for features. That's different from removing a port for a wireless feature. That's two different things. I wouldn't compare them and say they're the same. As in, like, sure, there may have been some people that don't like OLED displays and were upset that they switched to them on the iPhone, but everyone loved an iPhone's OLED display. And it wasn't like when I used OLED displays on other phones, I was like, God, this is awful. I think that's the bad thing when you say things on video. You can't change your mind without people referring back to when you said something slightly different. No, people are allowed to change their minds. I don't think anyone gets mad at me because I change my mind occasionally. But I'd say for the most part, I haven't changed my mind. Wireless charging has always been cool, but again, when Samsung was doing it and Apple wasn't, it wasn't cool enough to get me to switch over, and that still applies today. If the iPhone X did not have wireless charging and the Galaxy Note 8 did, I wouldn't switch to the Galaxy. I don't have that amount of loyalty to the Samsung. If iPhone 7 had wireless charging, I would have used it back then. So that's my point. I'm biased towards Apple. I'm within this ecosystem. Adding wireless charging was a big deal for me because it was the first time Apple was getting it. So that's my reasoning for it. And a lot of people kept bringing up that it was hypocritical for Apple to wait for things, but they're waiting for a new feature. Because Apple's always more futuristic, they don't want to add something that people, they don't want to add something that's not truly ready yet. Whereas Samsung, LG, and OnePlus, they know that it's time to ditch the headphone jack. They're completely aware of that, but they're just keeping it for the sake of not getting hate. But they're going to remove it anyway, is my point. They're not keeping it because they think that phones should always have headphone jacks forever. But the only way to get headphone technology and to get the user market, the user base switching to a wireless alternative soon in the future is to start encouraging them to do so. Because there's people out there, just look in the comments of that headphone jack video, that are always going to want a headphone jack no matter what. And the only way to get them to stop using it is just to remove it entirely. Okay. I use fancy hi-fi gadgets. On your phone? Okay, Apple Watch wireless charges without the watch touching the wireless charging puck. Check Apple AirPower leaks. Thoughts? Yeah, AirPower probably will start charging the watch a little bit before you make contact with it. It's probably so that if you have a Sport Loop watch band, you're able to lay that flat on the AirPower charge mat and it'll still charge it. It'll charge through the watch band itself. If the audio is out of sync, sadly, it's YouTube's fault. It's not mine. I apologize, and just refresh. That's the best thing we can do. If it doesn't work, I apologize. Right now, I'm using the modular Apple Watch face. I just customized it last night. Oh, that's cool. It tells you, like, when you get a text. Huh. I mean, like, the complication has, like, I have the texting widget on the bottom, and when you have a text, it has a 1. I didn't know it did that. I haven't used the modular watch face in like ever, so I thought I'd try something else. Let's see. Are you aware of the difference of using an iPhone in the USA and the rest of the world? I'm not. I'm sorry. I don't leave the country too often, so yes, wireless charging. If can be added, should be added. I'd say on any tech product. How are you using your MacBook Pro now that your iMac is your main runner? Are you planning keeping it, selling it, or even replacing it? Yeah, it's not been used for its CPU and GPU anytime recently. The iMac Pro is definitely my powerhouse now. This has just been a mobile laptop, which is why I'm planning on selling it this summer to help pay for hopefully a redesigned 12-inch MacBook or 13-inch MacBook, which is rumored to come out. Just an extra thin, based on portability laptop that's not very fast, but very light and portable. That's what I'm looking for. Wireless charging for Apple Remote. Yes, like I said, if it can be added, it should be added. There's nothing I think they should keep wired charging with. Even a laptop, they should figure out how to do wireless charging on laptops. OLED display on a MacBook? Well, a touch bar is an OLED display, so you already have that. Mining Bitcoin. I think I'll say this about cryptocurrency. It's a very genius system, the way they set it up. It took me a long time to figure out how it works, but after doing some mining myself and learning a lot about cryptocurrency, I think I get it now. I think I understand the basics of it, how it works, why it works. I don't think it's the future. I disagree with the pioneers of cryptocurrency, who a lot of which say in the future cryptocurrency will be the only way we make payments because governments fluctuate or the U.S. dollar has less worth over time. So eventually everyone will move to cryptocurrency. I don't believe that. I think it's way too unstable. First of all, someone doesn't want to buy $20 and find out that it's $10 the next day. And that's what cryptocurrency is. And the primary reason people buy into it is not because they think it's the future. It's just them treating it like a stock market. Most people are buying into cryptocurrency either for the deep web, which is a scary thing. It's untraceable. And that's who uses a lot of cryptocurrency. There's not a lot of consumer sites that accept Bitcoin. I mean, like the main ones. You know, you don't go on Amazon and pay for stuff in Bitcoin. I think they experimented with that, but it's not normal. And the process of buying and selling Bitcoin is so complicated and it takes so long that it's not reliable enough to become a mainstream thing. HomePod doesn't have voice recognition, different voices feature. Thoughts? What I think, I could probably review the HomePod right now. I don't even have it, but I can tell you everything about it already. I think Apple realized that they need to focus entirely on making a speaker that sounds good because they can't change that down the road. And then throughout the year, they can update it via software to do everything that it can't right now. Because all of the complaints people have with the HomePod, for the most part, all the ones I've been hearing, are ones that can be fixed via software. So first of all, there is voice recognition for different voices on iPhones, which means that the software exists. They just didn't implement it for whatever reason, maybe manufacturing, or they don't have the firmware ready yet. But the HomePod has the best microphone setup for listening to Hello Siri features of anyone. So I'm sure that they could add the voices feature later. Of course, the Spotify complaint, they can add that later. Of course, the stereo sound option, they could add that later. Even the people realizing that you can't pair to it directly with Bluetooth, that it's all over AirPlay. They can fix that later if enough people complain about it. If the sales aren't as good, they can fix all these things with software. I think, though, as I've brought up, speakers, especially even if they're smart speakers, should have a primary emphasis on sounding good. If they don't sound good, I don't care that much. Like, I really like my Google Home Max. The problem is it's so like unreliable. It dies all the time and doesn't work. Whereas the Home Minis, while everyone loved those and they're cheap, I don't think they sound very good unless you're playing them in the background at around 50%. But Apple made a speaker that even a lot of criticizers of the HomePod have agreed that HomePod's one of the best sounding speakers you can get. And I think Apple was smart to do that. They're like, if it's a speaker, make that part of it good. Make sure it's a good sounding speaker. And from what people say, it sounds really amazing. But all the smartness of Siri, all the exclusiveness of Apple Music, all of that can be fixed down the road if enough people complain about it. If not enough people complain about it, then Apple will just be content. I don't think there will be as many HomePods sold as Echoes or Home Minis just for the price point alone. But consider the fact that Apple doesn't have to turn a profit, because if they sell one HomePod, that's $350. That's more money than 11 Google Home Minis. And most people buying the Home Mini aren't buying 11 of them. But if you buy one HomePod, Apple's already had at least a revenue. The profit margin is not the same, obviously, because I'm sure a HomePod costs much more to make than a Home Mini. But either way, I'm saying that Apple, probably similar to the smartphone field, can sell not as many units, but still make more money just because they cost more. Waterproofing does not exist. The Apple Watch is water resistant. Check the website. It might say waterproof to a certain limit, but that's only market. Oh, we're talking about something else. I'm pretty curious about your future MacBook design without actual keys, because I wonder if it's possible to write on a touchscreen as fast as on a real keyboard. What are your thoughts? I believe it's possible. If you grew up on a physical keyboard and you're used to that, it might be a very difficult learning curve. But when I was growing up, I had an iPad for many years before I had this. I didn't own a laptop until 2016, mind you. I'm still pretty young. I'm still 19. I grew up typing all of my essays, all of my college documents on an iPad, not a MacBook. So I grew up using virtual keyboards, touchscreen keyboards, and I was fine with it. I could type on that thing, I think, faster than I could type on a physical keyboard. It was... I think they wouldn't do it until they could do the haptic feedback trick, where you type on the touchscreen keys and they give a little physical feedback, so you feel a little vibration to it, and you'll probably hear a little tick from the speakers. I'm used to a touchscreen, so I'd say younger people are probably going to adapt to it much easier, but older generations that are used to keyboards and are just used to mechanical keys are probably going to have a hard time getting used to that, just because their whole life are accustomed to that type of keyboard. What are your thoughts on the Intel smart glasses? Are you excited for Apple's take on them? Yeah, I saw someone posted. I didn't look too deep into it, but it looked like Intel had some pretty thin-looking smart glasses, which are interesting to see. No, I love butterfly keys. I love the MacBook keyboard. In fact, I wish that they had these type of keys on the Magic Keyboard. They're similar, but the Magic Keyboard is not the butterfly style. The travel is a little bit further than a regular butterfly keyboard. I can't stand mechanical keyboards. I know a lot of people like those. I hate those. Falcon Heavy launch is at 3:10 p.m. Is that new? Wouldn't that be 12:10 for me? Whoever's talking about discontinuation, if it's about the iPhone 10, it's not true. I don't think they're going to discontinue their most popular iPhone. You don't do that. Have you tried Google Photos? Yes, I've had Google Photos ever since it came out. The day it was announced, I downloaded it and started backing stuff up, just because it's unlimited backup and it's free. So just why not just use it? Do you think an A13 chip will be on the 12-inch MacBook, please? Shout out my channel. Okay, TechVex UK. There you go. I love the keys on my MacBook Air. Hate the keys on my HP laptop. The MacBook Air has a different format, but yeah. We're getting both colors on the HomePod. We'll have both. Yeah, it's going to be weird because that stereo mode where you compare two together is still not out yet. So I'm going to have 3 of them, and they're all going to be independent. So we'll probably put one in the tech room, one in the gaming room, and then one in the kitchen or something. Oh no. One could pair to the Apple TV and just be the dedicated Apple TV speaker. No A13 chip in MacBooks, different architecture. They could change it so that it could. There's a way to do that. Add taptic feedback on the screen keyboard. Oh yeah, we talked about that on the tech podcast. I think it should be an option. Probably shouldn't be on by default, but they could add it. Yeah. Yeah, I've read the Steve Jobs biography. I still have that book. It was a good book. What is your favorite company apart from Apple? Take a guess. Take a guess. It's Tesla. You plan to use the HomePod as your TV speaker? That's cool. Is that a third-party watch band? It is. This is from, shoot. I've had so many, I forget. Go back to some of my videos for favorite third-party Apple Watch bands. I'm sure I talk about this one. It's nice. It blends well with the stainless steel. It's a buckle kind. It's like this. You have to. It's kind of hard to set up because you have to take out the individual links. It's actually showing some signs of wear, but it didn't cost very much. So, but it holds in fairly rigidly, and it feels like it was made for a stainless steel, the space black color, like that. Why aren't you on the exclusive Apple early review list? I'm just not popular enough. I'm not big enough. When will the headphone jack disappear from the MacBook lineup? Hopefully any day now. Will you do another collab with MKBHD? If there's something to talk about. I feel like he's been so busy lately, I'd hate to interrupt his schedule. He's just doing... It's the Elobeth watch band. Thank you. Elobeth. You can look that up. I don't want to abuse my power that I have contact with him and the fact that we collaborated once before, right before we moved out of the attic. But yeah, I don't want to like abuse that and be constantly like, hey, you want to be in another one? Yeah, hey, you want to be in another one? So I'm going to let a lot of time go by and wait till a good stretch of time when not much is happening, and then maybe ask him again. Probably ask him to be on the Talos of Tech podcast. I don't know about an actual tech video. I do not have a soul. No, I'm a ginger. MKBHD didn't get a HomePod early, or he did and he just hasn't uploaded it yet. Do you think it would be good if Apple removed the Lightning port this year for waterproofing? I think they should remove the Lightning port just because you don't need it. You can charge wirelessly, you can listen wirelessly. Everyone will lose their minds and it'll be hilarious. I'll probably, if they removed it, everyone would hate them for it and I would get a lot of views for defending them for it. So I'd be fine. Would you be into a tiny headphone jack shaped 256 gigabyte drive that plugs into the headphone jack on the MacBook Pro and sits flush? Sure. Yeah, I'll use that. Excuse me. We don't need ports, exactly. Just remove all of the ports. Screw them. Headphone jack on iMac Pro or not? I've never used it. It has one, yes, but I've never used it. For the audio professionals out there that are using USB ports anyway because they have mixers that plug in, not to headphone jacks. I don't know why they bring that up. If you need good headphones, you audio engineers, get a pair of like really advanced USB-C headphones. I don't think Apple's implementing USB-C because they know that the removal of the Lightning port is not that far away anyway. What's the podcast? Just go on Apple Podcasts and search Talos of Tech. Or SoundCloud. We're on there too. Just use Bluetooth. Well, audio professionals will say that the latency is unusable, so they need wired headphones, in which case I say use a different port. Headphone jack does not transfer that much data. USB-C port can transfer lots more data. And you audio engineers, if you're listening to things like very closely, I thought you'd appreciate that. Most audio professionals, at least the ones that have commented on my videos, are bringing up that they don't use the audio jack for audio editing. They use USB-C or USB-A because of the mixers they use. In the mixers and the equalizers they plug into their computers, they don't plug in via headphone jack. That's not enough data transfer, so they usually use USB 3.0. Yes, the iPad has it too. They've only removed the headphone jack on the iPhone. They didn't remove it on the Apple Watch because the Apple Watch never had it. You should get a Tesla supercharger for your phone, $45. Well, if it was wireless charging, sure. So when Apple removed the ports on the iPhone, you think they would include a wireless charging pad and a pair of wireless earbuds? I think so, yeah. I think that's what they're waiting for. Remove power port only when you can charge iPhone in your hand, not in some object by wave. Nah, you can do it with a pad. You just need a good enough battery. Just put Qi chargers everywhere. You're gonna have to adapt. That's what Apple's taught us all this time. They're gonna remove things before you're ready to say goodbye to them. That's why I've been doing this portless challenge, because I'll be ready for it. An Apple Watch with a headphone jack, wouldn't that be ridiculous? Yeah, it's called an iPod Nano 6th generation. Most pointless smart home feature. A lot of smart home features I think are pretty pointless. I think controlling your lights is so like lazy. I mean, I guess it's smart if you don't want to get up and you want to turn the lights on. But other than that, like, I'd say a very pointless one is the multicolor light bulbs. They're funny, but completely useless. I don't know anyone who's actually just been like, set the mood, and then it changes the color temperature. Like, does anyone actually do that? Lights that are like, I can turn any color of the rainbow. It's just a toy at that point. Yeah, I looked at some HomeKit accessories, but there's really not a lot I can use. There's not a lot of light bulbs in this office. Everything's fluorescent tubes, which I know that there are smart fluorescents, but there's like 50 fluorescent tubes I would have to replace for it to be worth it. And it's just not. I walk into a room and the light switch is right there. I flick it on. It doesn't take that much time. Yeah, colored lights for $200, exactly. It's like, this light bulb is $40. Why? Because it can turn the color blue. It's like, great. HomePod is on the way, yes. What do you think the next Apple innovation will be? AR glasses, likely 2019 or 2020. Yes. How could you charge things while using them while you're in bed on a MacBook unless you plug the AirPower into it and try not to move too much? What are you saying? How could you charge things while using them while you're in bed on a MacBook? I think the future is not how do you wirelessly charge while using the phone. The answer is just your battery's going to be better, or your wireless charging is going to be everywhere, to the fact that your phone doesn't need to be charged while you're using it. They're going to change the way you use your product. Like, I don't use my phone while it's charging. I have Qi chargers everywhere. In fact, the smartest thing happened yesterday. I found a Qi charger on my old desk that I realized I was like never using. So I moved it to the couch where we're always watching TV on. So now, whenever I'm watching TV and I'm not using my phone, I can just drop it on this Qi charger that's just on the couch. That was so smart. I can just charge my phone whenever I'm watching Netflix. It's been so convenient. What's going to come after smart AR glasses? I don't know. Maybe a car. Or maybe some operating system that can drive itself, but it won't be on Apple's own car. What happened to the walk into a room and your phone is charging? The tech is not ready for that yet. It's in development, but it's not safe. It's possible to send power over the air. It's just it'll hurt you. Do you think Apple screwed up by releasing the iPhone and 8 at the same time? Yeah, it was a stupid name. They should have called it the 7S and the Edition. I think would have been easier. Then they could have called this year's iPhone the 8 for 2018. 8 and 8 Plus, and then, I don't know, the budget one could be the SE2 or whatever. Falcon Heavy launch delayed to 3:45. It looks like it might not happen today. It might be too windy. They already showed a wireless charging device that charged over a longer distance. Yeah, it can be done, but it's not done over a distance that is useful enough. There's a company startup called Pi that developed a charging cone, basically, and any iPhone that's within a foot of it will be charged without a pad. You can't buy those yet, obviously, because they've not been approved by the FCC, but sending power safely over distances is an upcoming piece of technology, but it's not ready yet. And if that radius is a foot, then what's the point? Like, it's no different than just having a pad charger anyway. So once it is capable of going across the room at a high speed, that's the other problem, is when you do across the air charging, it's very slow. If they could figure that out 6 feet, 8 feet away, then they'll start implementing it. But so far, they can't do it yet. I saw one at CES. Well, if it's at CES, you know it's not happening, because that's the whole concept electronics show. When can charge by distance, they can ditch the port. No, they'll ditch the port before that. They're not going to wait for that. As soon as they ditch the charging port, that'll really encourage companies to start developing that long-range charging technology. And again, that's very, very slow. No, I didn't order the flamethrower. I don't need a flamethrower. Charging through Wi-Fi, like download more power. It sounds silly, but it actually does work that way. Yeah, they're able to charge the phone over Wi-Fi. That's technically how it works. What do you think about the fact that other car companies are technically as far than Tesla but aren't producing yet because it isn't worth it? Tesla is still not making profit. Tesla is kind of beta. There's, to be fair, Lucas, no electric car company is as far as Tesla. For one reason, charging stations. Second of all, making a car that acts like a Tesla and is electric is totally different than making a mass fleet of cars. Being able to mass produce them is far, far, far more difficult than just making one of them. I've seen Faraday Future. I've seen all of the other Tesla killers that they keep calling themselves. Making one car, having one company make a prototype and saying it's faster than a Tesla or it turns better than a Tesla, the range is better than a Tesla, that's a totally different thing than making one that actually can be bought and owned by people. That's the only thing Tesla's been able to do, is actually make a car company that has cars to sell that people can buy and put charge stations everywhere. So that's not no other car company out there is close to Tesla. They're able to like invest in things like the Model 3, which is in the works, and there's things like the Chevy Volt, but they're not really in the same league as Tesla's. The big ones like Mercedes, Audi, VW, and BMW, they're going to adapt to electric slowly. I'm pretty sure all of them have announced they're going to switch to an EV lineup by some certain year, but it's they have a lot to lose because they're losing the gas industry. Tesla's a startup. They're not owned by a parent company, so they don't have to worry about that. And besides, Elon Musk is not a guy based on... If you guys know Elon Musk's history, how Elon Musk runs his companies, he's not in it for profit. He's totally in it because he's trying to make a better future. He's spent all of his money and his savings, all of his leftover savings, just on his own investments in companies. So he doesn't care about having fancy houses. Whereas other companies may be more focused on profit-based, as in we need this many people, we have to pay all these people, and we have to be able to turn a profit year over year. Tesla's not about that. They're all about big revenue, low profit. So MKBHD just live unboxed an 18-core iMac. That's cool. Yeah, I saw the speed tests for the 18-core iMac, and I was like, I am so glad I didn't get anything in terms of core enhancements. You spend another like $2,500 on the processor, and it goes like a minute faster while exporting. It's totally not worth it. But Tesla loses money. The moment Tesla makes money, the big ones will jump in, and who knows if Tesla can survive on its own. Elon Musk has got it pretty made right now. For one, he's got a monopoly on the lithium battery market with the Gigafactory. So all of these car companies that keep announcing they're switching to an EV fleet, they're going to need batteries from someone. And Elon Musk and Tesla has all the batteries. They're not going to die. They're doing just fine. I wouldn't worry about Tesla. They have a very rich and very passionate fan base. There's literally people that are willing to spend $250,000 on a car they're not going to have for 3 to 4 years. When you have a whole fan base of users that doesn't mind spending $250,000 on a car they can't have for 4 years, you're going to be okay. Anytime Tesla runs low on money, they can just release another concept and everyone will just buy it again. Elon Musk tweeted that the countdown was just initiated for 3:45, which will be 12:45 for me, aka the holy mouse click, unless of course it gets too windy. I don't see the point of foldable phones. Yeah, me neither. Me neither. What do you think of companies showing prototypes of technologies like the Vivo and the in-screen fingerprint sensor and saying they were first? It's stupid. That's why I hate CES so much. It's just a bunch of companies. First of all, here's why I don't like it, if in case people who hated me for this are in the chat. They expect all the glory for releasing things that you can't buy, but if you criticize what they release, they have the excuse of saying, well, it's a prototype. Don't get mad. Because Razer released that Project Linda thing where you put the smartphone into the laptop. And I was like, that's so dumb. Your hands are going to cover up the speakers. The trackpad doesn't click. You have a Snapdragon 835. You have Android on a laptop and it's not a touchscreen. And everyone's like, oh, Drew, just shut up. Like, it's a prototype. Don't be so hard on it. But at the same time, you're supposed to get excited for it. It's like, well, if you're releasing products early or releasing concepts, are we supposed to just give you all the credit but not be able to buy anything? I don't think we should reward companies and give them rounds of applause for making things that we can't buy. That's just saying that our R&D department makes stuff. Of course your R&D department makes stuff. Making one prototype is way, way, way easier than actually making a reusable product that people buy and actually review, instead of having all of these journalists and tech journalists come to an event and say, where's all the cool stuff? And then all these hardware companies have to be like, cool stuff that you can't buy. It's just stupid. That's why Apple doesn't show up there. Better to be harsh on a prototype before the final products be as crappy as the prototype. Exactly. I thought the point of the prototype was to inform the company what they're doing wrong. When I criticized Project Linda, everyone got really upset because it's like, Drew, it's just a prototype. Relax. And it's like, no, it's because it's in development, you should be harder on it. It's not an official product yet. You should tell them all the issues it has. When are you getting your HomePods? The day they're available, February 9th. Yeah, Apple said they got working Macs with touchscreen too. Steve Jobs said that. He said Apple was one of the main innovators in most modern adapters of multi-touch technology. You don't think they tried to put it on a Mac? You don't think they tried to put it on an iMac or a MacBook? They tried it and realized that it made for great demo. That's what Steve Jobs said. When they first put a touchscreen on a MacBook, initial reactions are very positive. People first try it and they go, oh, this is great. I love this. But then long-term use, they realized that no one was using it. The first time they used it, they thought it was cool, but then afterwards they realized it was useless, and that's why they didn't move forward with it. Whereas Microsoft discovered the exact same thing and just decided that it's better for people to be happy with your initial reaction, because that's when you're willing to pay for something, and then not use it later because whatever. Phil said part of that quote, he commented on it, but Steve Jobs originally commented during a keynote about they in their R&D departments added a touchscreen to a MacBook, and like I just said, made for really great demo. Other tech YouTubers aren't at 70,000 subscribers. All the journalists who got the HomePod early are over 1 million. I'm not that big. I wouldn't want a touchscreen laptop, as you just mark the screen and it makes the keyboard pointless. I think it makes the touchscreen pointless and you just result in a weird operating system, which is Windows 10. Let's see. I like the fact that my MacBook screen is fingerprint free. Yes, it's nice. Why no one talks about Steve Wozniak? Because while he was a main founder of Apple, he has very little to do with Apple. Wozniak is a genius in terms of coding and in terms of experimental computers back when that was becoming a thing. Wozniak was just playing around with tech. Steve Jobs was the one who thought it could be the next big thing. He was the one who saw its potential. Wozniak didn't really see its potential. He was just playing around with computers because he thought it was cool. And then he left Apple a long, long time ago. So even in the 90s, Wozniak had very little to do with what Apple did. And even when he was involved with Apple, he didn't have much control over everything. Steve Jobs was the visionary. Wozniak was just the really smart coder. no hate towards Wozniak. He's still a genius, but really smart guy. But I don't. Time and time again, I've seen him criticize Apple for things that he doesn't really seem to know what he's talking about. When the Apple Watch came out, he was like, Apple sells all of these watch bands. Are they selling watches or watch bands? It was like, well, a watch band's part of the watch, Wozniak. So I don't know what you want us to say. It's like, and then he got one anyway. So he probably gets a free Apple product every time one comes out. But he's not very in touch with current Apple anyway. But yeah, thanks for asking about him. Really interesting guy. Don't sell your Apple Watch for AirPods. You keep your Apple Watch. That's an actual product. The AirPods is an accessory. My dad bought a Surface Book. I'm not sure why, and he nearly never uses his crappy touchscreen mode, so I can confirm what you're saying. I know. I've used these things as well. I've owned a Surface Pro. I've used a Surface Book, and I can tell you that the touchscreen, like Steve said, makes for a great demo. First time you go up to it, it's like, whoa, especially the Surface Book. It's like, oh my God, the tablet detaches. How cool is this? And then you never use that. And then it just stays a laptop forever. Yeah, I'll sell my MacBook Pro this summer. If there's a better 12-inch or 13-inch MacBook, like a thin one. But anyway, I hate to end this a little bit early, but it's my girlfriend's birthday, and I'm going to spoil her today, so I'm going to take a little head start on that. I think she just rolled up, and we're having her party here. So thank you guys for your super chats, comments, and questions. Stay tuned for that Falcon Heavy launch. Hope it goes well. If you haven't yet checked it out, check out Tailosive Talks because we're doing daily vlogs on there. And we're also once a week doing some edited gaming videos over on Tailosive Gaming. And I'd appreciate it if you guys could check that out. Tell us what you'd like to see done on there. Anyway, should get a regular tech video tomorrow. This is your Apple Sheep here.